It is incredible that NASA is not directing us toward the images and the beautiful spiritual messages that are very carefully, clearly etched on the asteroids that are coming within close range of us. This is why they're coming within close range, because we are supposed to look at them. They are aware that we can look at them. So I am passing this message along to you. If this is going down the wrong way with you, stop watching this video right away. This is for enlightened people. These are deeply, deeply spiritual messages to us, and I believe it is about unity, peace, and I believe we're seeing very clear references to what's going on in the Middle East, and it is one of fairness and unity. As you can see, these are not accidental scratches. It is an insult for anyone to say that. These are deeply spiritual messages. Now, let me begin with just a very rough history of, of what's going on in the conflict in the Middle East that's relevant to these messages. Before I speak about this, I want to indicate to you that I am mostly Jewish. My mother was a Jew. I did not practice anything Orthodox. Our family was, because my father was Christian, we were exposed to all religions and we were taught to choose ourselves, take from each one. Now, if you were to ask me what do I mostly identify with, it would be Jewish. I would call it Jewish mysticism or a modern Jew. All right? So that's why I am allowed to criticize them right now. So the conflict generally is between the Palestinian people or the Muslims, and Iran is now involved. They are also Muslim, most of them. There are different types of Muslims, but in general, the Muslims consider Muhammad, who came after Jesus, Muhammad to be the most important person to them. And unfortunately, their very important place of worship, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, is right now at present in Israel. It's not in Palestine, but it used to be. All right, this is the whole, that their mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, by the way, that used to be, the Knights Templar used to occupy that mosque. But anyway, that mosque is of extreme relevance. That is the golden, when you see the gold dome, the Temple Mount, that's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That is the Palestine's place of worship. It's in Israel. So that's a problem, okay? But it didn't used to be. This is the whole issue with this area called the West Bank. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, when it was originally built, was in Palestine territory. And because of a conflict that took place, and then basically, in very general terms, the Jews took over that portion, and it is now within the territory of Israel, the state of Israel. The Jews have deliberately for many years been blocking access to the mosque. The Palestinians, they're causing the Palestinians trouble, put it that way, in a very general sense. And I don't believe the Jews are correct in doing that. Now, the messages that we are seeing, though, in these asteroids, I believe, are showing the deteriorating territory of Palestine. But the overall message is to unify. If you look, now I have studied these asteroids for over a week, close up, taken pictures of them, compared them to the developing territories in Palestine. In other words, their land has been essentially decreasing, and studying the borders. And there is no doubt in my mind that in these asteroids, it represents the changing of the territories in the Middle East, the West Bank, Israel, and Palestine. And the overall message is one of unity. It is not taking sides. That's why we get those three rings. Now, I'm showing you these images because these are images on maps, and you can actually match them up with what's being shown in the asteroids. It's absolutely incredible. It would take too long for me to, it would be about a 2-hour video if I were to put it together, and I might do that. But anyone can access this information if you have the internet, all right? These images are all images of the asteroids as they currently appear right now today. And as you can see, every single asteroid has varying, it shows the deterioration of the territory of Palestine, but it's not taking sides. When we come back to the three rings, what it's showing is, I believe, an overall message of unifying and knowing that there is one true threat, or as they say, Prisca Theologia, the one truth that rings through all religions. You will have to invert the maps in order to see clearly how they're reflected in the asteroids, but trust me, they all are. And just as I'm letting you watch these images, just for anyone who needs a really quick review of the Middle East, so you understand that the Jews, they believe in the Torah. Their main person was Moses. They acknowledge that Jesus existed, but they don't think he's very important. Now, modern Jews are a little more open-minded, and they do acknowledge the teachings of Jesus. They're sort of silent on, whether or not someone is a Messiah matters not, because the point is, God is light, God is love, God is unconditional love and truth. And there is one creator. It is not a physical being, it's not a person. It is a complicated, intelligent, loving matrix that we cannot imagine. Just like we cannot define a photon, the energy of light. Is it a particle? Is it a wave? It's both. What keeps it running? We don't know. God is light. God is a photon. And God runs through all we are supposed to be not favoring any particular religion. We are supposed to be getting it and unifying. Part of the problem is that our identification with a church or a temple, that's the problem, because we feel like, without access to my church, I'm cut off from God. No, you are never cut off from God. How do you know that you're not separate from God? Are you breathing? Are you breathing? Because God anoints you, the Christ energy or the energy of life. That happened before you took your first breath. That is why you were able to take your first breath. That is the true baptism. It occurs naturally when you are separated from your mother's body. While you are in your mother's womb, you draw upon her Christ energy. I imagine that if we were able to interpret this message, which is on many of the asteroids, we would find that the message is something like, God is with you. You are never separate from God.